You never told me being rich was so lonely. Nobody know me. Oh well, hard to complain from this 5-star hotel. I'm always in a rush. I've been thinking too much. But keep it on the hush. No one need to know, just us. That's really all it takes. We don't need nothing but today. Small World by Mac Miller. Greetings, Gemini, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, or Jupiter, or any of these aspects in Vedic sidereal. I know some of you guys are like, what does that even mean? So here's the thing. The Western calendar was created a certain way so that certain months and dates were associated with certain astrological signs. However, if you look at a star sky, a map of where the planets actually were when you were born, most of you Geminis would find out that you're not a Gemini, you're actually a Taurus. Most of you Tauruses would find out you're not a Taurus, you're actually an Aries. Most of you Aries would find out you're not an Aries, you're a Pisces, like me. And so on and so forth. So, that being said, Vedic sidereal is where the planet actually was when you were born, not the associated sign for the man-made calendar, etc., etc. That being said, I'm saying that because for a lot of my Geminis, this reading coincides with the Taurus reading that I just finished, and that is that there's some fertility issues for some of you guys. There's a lot of grief around the womb area that needs to be processed, whether someone is processing an abortion from years ago, a miscarriage from years ago, or this is something that you guys are just now recently dealing with. Black agate would be really powerful for you guys. Just kind of putting these over your womb area would be really powerful for you. Also, carnelian and bloodstone would be also really powerful crystals for my Geminis. Alright, Gemini, so there are multiple groups of Geminis that I'm reading for, so if this reading is not yours, then, you know, sign off, go watch a different reading. If this reading fits you, great. And again, like I said, there's many Geminis that I will be reading for in this, so I will kind of be hopping around stories as I did on the Taurus reading. So for some of my Geminis, the star at hand, the cup at hand, the card at hand for the overall energy of the reading is the Five of Cups. And the thing with the Lover's Path Tarot is the Five of Cups is the story of Tristan and Isolde. And Tristan and Isolde were long story short, a couple that weren't supposed to be a couple. They were supposed to Tristan was sent out to bring Isolde back to King Mark's, and he had a love potion that he was going to give Isolde on her wedding night so that she would fall in love with the king. But on their journey back, they decided to take the potion together, so they fell truly, madly, deeply, Savage Garden, in love. When they fell in love, she still had to go through and marry the king. She and Tristan still had this affair, and years later, Tristan ended up moving and marrying another woman because her name was Isolde. So, you know, I guess you don't have to worry about saying the wrong name in the bedroom or anything like that. But Tristan was injured at one point in time, and he told his wife, Isolde, to call for his love, Isolde, and he said if she is going to come and say hi to him or, you know, like revive him with her love, because he was like, I need her love to survive kind of thing, like, I'm on my deathbed, but I will live if I get to see my true love. So he said, have white sails if she's coming, and then have black sails if she's not coming. And he was on the deathbed, so he couldn't tell. Well, the jealous wife, Isolde, looked out to the ocean, and she saw the white sails that Isolde was indeed coming. She didn't like that, so she told her husband, which, I mean, it's fine, it was her husband, right? So he's the one who took the potion. And you guys, if you mess with black magic, then you're going to get things on you. That's why, you know, yes, you can cast spells on people, Gemini, and for all my magicians and warlocks out there. However, karma comes around, goes around. Ancestral protection is a strong thing, and if you mess with black magic in any way, shape, or form to try and hurt others, you are going to receive that pain so much more than you've ever inflicted on anyone, and it will come at you when you didn't even expect it. So there's my rant on that. And that's what happened really to Tristan and Isolde, because they took a potion, they took magic that they weren't even supposed to make, then they were cheating. She was cheating on her husband through this whole affair with Tristan, or through their whole marriage, having an affair with Tristan. And so, of course, you know, Tristan's on his deathbed, and he's like, I just need to see my one true love. And he's, you know, at least I guess honest enough to tell his wife, Isolde, that his one true love is the other Isolde. But she said, Tristan, it's a black sail, it's not a white sail. She's not coming. So he died out of grief. And then once Isolde arrived and she saw that he had died, she laid upon him and she died of a broken heart. So Five of Cups, it's like you are feeling like you're realizing you get what you give in relationships. You can't take back certain, actions that you've done. If you treated certain relationships a specific way because of how your parents were or how other people treated you, or a lack of having another parent in the house. If you grew up like in a broken home, maybe you kind of always had some sort of conditioning around what the other gender was like because you never really got to be raised by them. We have Brave by Sarah Bareilles on. Say what you wanna say. I wanna see you be brave. History of silence. I feel like some of my Geminis aren't speaking up about this. You may be in a new relationship, like you've already moved on, but you haven't really moved on, Gemini. And I feel like the other person is thinking that too. But notice, what I'm noticing here is like all the castle lights are off except for one room, the light is on. But he can't see that the light's not on. He's shielding and his back is to the light. So I feel like Gemini, whoever you're thinking about, they're thinking about you too, but you guys aren't communicating. And because it's a 5, it's a challenging time, which we have just a lot going on right now, cosmically, a lot going on in the world, materially, physically. There's still 2 cups standing here. And that makes me just think of the 2 of Cups. It's like all these cups are spilled, but there are still 2 cups here, and 2 cups can constantly pour into one another if they can communicate and have teamwork, Gemini. We have the dragon. So one thing I really like about this animal medicine deck is that the deck arrives with blank cards, and then you get to draw your own figures on them. So I drew a dragon on this one, and it's number 53. So again, we have 5s. So 5 is a prominent number for you guys, a number of change and challenges. And 5 plus 3 equals 8. And 8s are all about bringing things into balance. Anything that you could do that will improve your balance, skating, slacklining, yoga, anything that will actually force your body into balance is an excellent way for you guys to meditate, Gemini. That's really powerful for you guys as an air sign, especially since most of you guys are actually Tauruses. So this is how I've had it described to me. Your Western astrology is like the make of the car. You're a Ford. So, alright, it's a Ford, it's a Chevy, etc., etc. But your Vedic sidereal, where the planet actually was when you were born, is the engine inside of you and all the parts that are inside of you, and like how all the inner workings work. So again, for a lot of my, and with the 5 of Cups, I'm feeling infertility with some of my Geminis, like I said. There is some trauma around fertility here, whether it's sexual trauma. I don't think I can say that word, so I'm just gonna like mouth it and, sexual trauma. Whether it is loss of a child, miscarriage, pregnancy with someone, or it's just you've had so much heartbreak and grief around intimacy that you've just kind of shut down in that area. So many may be experiencing some impotency, but there's the tower with the light on in the back there, so don't be too worried about it. This is something that can be healable. So we say the black agate and carnelian will be really powerful stones for Geminis. Note the dragon. Dragons are all about the shadow, right? So dragons can, like a dragon's bite can be poisonous, like a reptile, like a snake. It will get infected kind of thing. Dragons also blow fire, and we have a lot of fire and smoke going on in our world right now, Gemini. But dragons also show for like a higher aspiration. They stand for the deep, deep intrinsic knowledge that each one of us human beings on this planet at this time hold and carry within ourselves from our ancestors. Did you know, Gemini, that each one of us carry cellular DNA from 7 generations previous? 7 generations previous. I want you guys to just kind of wrap your mind around how many years ago that was. Maybe like 1700s or 1600s, like just how many years ago it was, 7 full generations ago. We all carry that DNA in our blood, and we are dealing with karma and trauma. And yes, genes can assist for some diseases that people have, but the thing is, the disease like it has the ingredients there, but just because you have flour, yeast, egg, I don't know what all goes into making bread. Just because you have all the things of making bread doesn't mean you have a loaf of bread. So you're the one who has to put the things together to actually make the loaf of bread and bake it. So that's the cool thing with dragons, is like the magic of them. Gemini, some of you guys may think that you're susceptible, or like you're on the line of certain issues that you see run rampant in your family. You may be feeling like the, oh no, I'm gonna have such and such, like my mom, like my grandmother, like my da-da-da-da-da, this runs in my family. Gemini, only if you keep casting that spell on yourself will you possibly bring that into fruition. But you can also cast a different spell on yourself, Gemini, by taking different action, by blowing out, and also sizzling. I mean, sometimes we have to burn things down to build new, and it can be violent, and it can be messy, and it's definitely not comfortable, but we already have the energy of the 5 here, Gemini, and so a lot of you guys just have the energy of dragon that's asking you to look more deeply into your past, more deeply into your ancestry. Think about where your ancestors lived and what was going on politically in the world at that time in such a way that it still is in your blood and your DNA and your genes, and it does very much affect, you know, what different outcomes you can bake here, so to speak. We have thru as your rune, and it is in reverse. It's a 3, so 5s and 3s are very prominent. 3s are about working together and starting new things, but in reverse, it's about a denial, like you don't want to work together with someone. This is also violence, this is childishness, brute force, this is like egomaniac. This is someone who is really holding their heart back, and they're being really defensive. Self-preservation is strong here, using your power not for the good, being totally armored up. It's very reminiscent of, you know, like what's going on in our streets, but it's happening because of, if we see the shadow behind him, this is going on because of the shadows that live within your DNA, within your cellular DNA. There is something that you keep doing in your relationships, Gemini, that is some form of self-sabotage or some form of like keeping someone at arm's distance. Notice he has his fist forward and he has his light behind him. Yes, his hammer, but you know, it's like he has this, like, I'm gonna fight before I give you my magic and my light. Like, I will fight. I'm guarding. There's like a very strong presence of like, I'm guarding this with all of me, and again, just very strong defensive energy. Gemini, we also have, yeah, this is ignorance, brute violence. It's also courage and the ultimate physical fighting force. It's all about fertility, so in reverse it's infertility. Again, so we have 2 cards for infertility here. This is understanding that having right awareness is key. This is using tools and technology, and understanding that we must promote consciousness actively in our lives, or we will succumb to entropy and atrophy. This is also very phallic and male, masculine card, strong masculine energy. That's why we have the unconditional love here, 42, coming in at a 6, 4, less than a 5, 3, 1 less than a, or 2, 1 less than a 3. So we have 53, 5s and 3s, and then we have 42. So this unconditional love card, Gemini, is asking that you kind of tone it down, take a step back, step into the water, step into your inner child, invite some more feminine energy, sit and read a book. Some of my Geminis, I feel like with the Risas, are just like working out really hard. You're just like, yeah, I'm gonna get strong, I'm doing this, and it's like, you're almost punishing yourself because you feel like you spent years in this past relationship or past cycle, like kind of slacking off too much. You may feel like you just haven't been doing all the things that you know you can do, or that you're capable of doing, that you want to do, that you want to accomplish, Gemini, and so you're kind of getting on to yourself in this way, and the universe is saying slow and steady wins the race, Gemini, and right now your energy is very just like blunt and brute and forceful, and it actually doesn't show your strength, Gemini. It shows your weakness, because it shows your insecurity. It shows where your fear lies. It shows where you aren't really wanting to deal with these things and really dive into your emotions and be more vulnerable. Gemini, it's prominent and imminent here that you cry, that you release, because if, for my Geminis who have had a miscarriage or abortion with a past ex, with someone of the past, that cosmic child is going, I mean, that's kind of what we see here, is going to follow you until you really fully emotionally feel it and deal with it. You will not be able to just get over it with time. In fact, it will plague your life more with time until you truly, fully deal with this, Gemini. And that's just how it is. That's just the way it is. Unconditional love is asking you, Gemini, where could you open your heart more? She has her hands over her heart. So it's like, and she's listening. And this other angel has her hand out to her. So there's a light touch. Where can you have more lightness of touch, more intimacy? And there are faces, just little outlines of faces in the wind here. So it's like, listen to the whispers of the wind, the colors of the wind. Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? The earth is just a dead thing you can claim, but I know every rock and tree and people. Every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit, has a name. Okay, everything has a spirit, Gemini. When was the last time that you really walked outside and you let yourself look at a tree and see the tree as a living person, like had a conversation with the tree, Gemini? The universe is asking that you do that. Step up and do that. We have no turning back, Gemini. As you have grown, developed, and deepened on your life's journey, you have found yourself way down the trail from where you started. You may have friends or people in your life asking you to change back, Gemini. They want you to be who you once were, because the way you were back then was comfortable for them. They didn't need to grow or change to keep you or to interact with you. However, Gemini, you have indeed grown. You are moving on to a new spiritual ground. You are ready. Your soul is ready for new heights, new relationships, new depths of intimacy. I said this in Taurus's reading yesterday, Gemini. You can only love someone to the depth that you can love yourself, and you can only truly be vulnerable with someone to the level and the depth that you can be vulnerable with yourself. You can only see another to the depth that you see yourself, Gemini. Interesting that the crystal ball wanted to fall here. Gemini. One thing that I love about this crystal ball is it makes everything upside down. So Gemini, it's asking that you have a different perspective. That you are looking at life and you're looking at people and relationships in one way that it doesn't seem to be. And it's almost like in The Lion King when Mufasa's with Simba on the top of Pride Rock and he's like, what's that dark shadowy place over there? And they don't really want to go over there. Mufasa just says don't go there. They don't really want to talk about it. But those dark shadowy places, Gemini, need to be talked about. Otherwise they catch up with us. And then we might go into a wildebeest stampede. And yeah, there's no turning back. You need to trust, Gemini, that the new higher ground upon which you are standing is going to be a reward in itself once you allow yourself to fully arrive there. Keep on moving forward. Some yearning and nostalgia is to be expected, but looking back is only reflective for you as you have indeed grown and grown out of these past friend groups that you have been in, Gemini. Sorrow. Fatalistic warnings are around you as you may be facing a challenging time, 555, lots of 5s and 3s, or one of sorrow or loss. The possibility of failure, tragedy, and accidents are a part of life. Disappointment is a part of life, Gemini. This provides the contrast for the joy, and this joy will indeed follow. Lessons are learned during these times. Often they're hidden behind the drama and the overt energy that is present. Allow yourself to pay attention to all of the little whispers, the whispers of the wind, that are brewed through this energy. Being as sensitive as you can during this time will only help you. You will become a vibrant opponent. Stand with your hands wide open, Gemini, and your heart wide open, your palms upward, a willingness to learn all that you are to be taught. Allow yourself to breathe and take extra care with yourself during this time, Gemini. The contrast is provided and it will be matched with equal intensity and success and joy soon enough. I feel like for a lot of my Geminis, you did try and move on to a relationship quickly from one to the next. Also, when I look at these horses, they're both looking in the same direction. So it's like there's something that you want to attain something, but notice the horses aren't looking at each other. sometimes, Gemini, people and things are brought into our life really just for a chapter so that we can upgrade, so that we can kind of reach a new level. So it's like this new person after your ex may not be your soulmate, likely isn't, but they're the person that's going to help you get off of your soulmate, your ex. They're going to be the person that help you upgrade so that you can find out your new hobbies. Maybe you learn a musical instrument if you never played one before. And maybe you're supposed to be with a musician, and you can never be with that musician had you not become a musician. So, you know, there's like just certain things in life that happen, Gemini, for relationships to come together. And we can think that we know everything or that we know what we want, but the thing is we should always be evolving. And I don't like to should on people, but I do when it comes to evolution, because if we're not moving forward, we are moving backward. And you don't want to do that, Gemini, because that's just going, it says no turning back. So it's like some of my Geminis, you keep thinking about this thing from the past, and it's because you need to heal whatever this wound is that's deeper inside. So let's see what the tarot has for you. Wish I could go back then and undo what I've done. That would be impossible, but if you can see what my eyes can see, you would see what you mean to me. If you could feel the way my heart is beating, then you could feel my energy. You would be coming back for me. I guess this is the end of me, because this is where we fall apart. But if I fix these broken pieces of your bleeding heart, for us to be the enemy, because I don't want to be your enemy. Do you remember when we fell in love? She was just one night. She was just one night, and you were my whole life. But if you can see what my eyes can see, you would see what you mean to me. Oh my gosh, Gemini, I just got chills. She was just one night, and you were my whole life. She was just one night, and you were my whole life. That's why some of these Geminis can really not let go of their past person. And Gemini, I've felt that. I've felt that on a deep level. You know, I've had quite a few very serious relationships. For years, I've dated quite a few men that I really thought were the one, and they were for that time of my life. I've been with many men that I totally envisioned myself having kids with, a family with, totally saw my whole life with them, and really had a hard time forgiving them and forgiving myself after certain situations, because each one ended differently. However, one thing that I do realize, Gemini, is that the universe always has given me an upgrade. Every relationship that I enter is an upgrade from the past, from the previous one. Alright, Gemini, your energy is the High Priestess in reverse with the Wheel of Fortune crossing you. So there's something here that you are not seeing. The Queen of Pentacles did come out before in your pre-shuffle. She came out again. Gemini, with the High Priestess in reverse, there's something here that you are just totally avoiding. The Wheel of Fortune, though, is going to bring it in, because Jupiter is the planet of expansion and opportunity. So Jupiter is here to try and give you a new opportunity, but you're like blind. You're not looking at this thing, because subconsciously you have the Six of Pentacles in reverse. So like, you don't want... Okay, it's a nice outcome. You don't want to give... You don't want, there's not an even give and take here. The Six of Pentacles is like tit for tat, even give and take. Or in a work situation, it's, you guys are just mutually benefiting each other. But Gemini, I'm feeling almost like a Four of Pentacles energy from the Six of Pentacles in reverse. It's like you're not working in camaraderie with someone right now. You are by yourself. The High Priestess is in reverse. You cannot figure things out. Six of Swords also came through a couple times in your reading. Alright. So Gemini, High Priestess in reverse. You also could have Pisces in you, and you're just feeling sad, upset about something. Sixes can also be about harmony and working together. You're sad about something that used to be like teamwork, two horses pulling a carriage, and now the spokes are broken. And, you know, it's like you can't repair that. It's like you're just not a team with that horse anymore. So there's an energy here of you're not seeing the truth of something. Owl might be a powerful spirit animal for you. Woo! Gemini. High Priestess in reverse. Six of Pentacles in reverse. Nine of Swords is what's crowning you. So you're having a hard time sleeping right now. You're having dreams about this person, nightmares about this person in the past. Eight of Swords, stuck energy. You refuse to take responsibility, or they refuse to take full responsibility. Here's the thing here. If they refuse to take responsibility, so did you, Gemini, because 6 is here. However bad you were, they were. However bad they were, you were, in just a different way. That's just how energy works, Gemini. I'm sorry, not to say you're a bad person, they're a bad person, because it's not, but you guys were very strong triggers for each other. And so you brought up parts of your lives that you could not admit yourself to. And the wheel is here because the karmic cycle has closed on it, and the karmic wheel is trying to give you something new. It's trying to bring something new in, but you're still so stuck on this person because she was just one night, you were my whole life. And if it's vice versa, he was just one night, you were my whole life. Now we have The Lighthouse and the Whaler by White Days. Ink and pen were under her hand, the colors leaked to the paper's edge. Don't reply, don't reply, you have come to the end. Like the foxes were sly, I will never unfold, no never unfold again. Hold your head high above what you meant, don't pretend to repent, I will never unfold again. Some of my, I'm sorry Gemini, but some of you guys have a really strong entitlement and righteousness to you. I'm just speaking for one or a couple Geminis. There are some Gemini men here that have a really strong entitlement, a really strong righteousness. Don't reply. You've come to the end. I will never unfold again. Don't pretend to repent. Hiding behind the words spill. She's lying to herself, or he's lying to himself. So someone here is lying to themselves, Gemini, very clearly. With the High Priestess in reverse, that's exactly what that is. Someone's lying, Gemini, this is your centered energy, High Priestess in reverse. You're trying to make something work that's just not your truth because it feels easier. You may be getting like intimacy from it, you may be getting boom boom, you may be getting laid from someone right now, or you might have like a comfortable situation, your old friends, this, that, and the other. But the universe is like, this has come to the end. This has come to the end, Gemini, and it's trying to push you forward, but you're just like, no, I'm comfortable. But are you that comfortable, Gemini? Because you're thinking about this at night, or you're dreaming about this at night. Nine of Swords. This is leading up to the 10, but we don't have the 10. But we do see where the 8 came from, because your future energy is 3 of Cups in reverse. So no party here, no good time. Definitely third party energy, or just a situation where you're just realizing, like your friend group, you're just not having the same fun like you used to. Maybe there's a friend group you guys always used to go camping together, you guys always used to do a sport together. Like, you've spent years doing things with this friend group, Gemini, and for whatever reason, you're just realizing it's just not what it used to be. It's just, things just aren't what they used to be. And perhaps it's with this new union, you're like, man, I thought this union was totally like it, and it really helped me get over my ex, but as time has passed, you're realizing more things about this person, you're realizing you're actually missing things about the ex because you're thinking about them, you're thinking back on them. I'll be missing you, every move I make, every sign you take, da, 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 da. I'll be missing you. Someone is missing someone strongly here. And because of that, Gemini, your energy is 10 of Pentacles in reverse. You can't focus on work right now. You can't focus on anything. Maybe with COVID, or with, you know, maybe one of your businesses or a place that you worked for has been strongly impacted with everything going on, Gemini. And for whatever reason, you're just feeling like you're not getting to this abundance, and it's really frustrating for you. Relationships are kind of frustrating for you. Work is kind of frustrating for you. The person you're dealing with is Queen of Pentacles in reverse. This is a woman who really knows her boundaries. She was really nurturing. So there's a source that you were getting nurture from, and you're no longer getting nurture from that person. Queen of Pentacles in reverse has pulled back her nurture. So maybe your new person is just not as nurturing as the old person was, and you're realizing things that you took for granted in past situations. This could be past situations from like a decade ago, 15 years ago. Some of you guys got divorced a while ago, and all of your new life situations, Gemini, are just showing you just how much you took for granted certain things, even if your ex was a real witch. Ahem, so are you, Gemini. Just have to say, and that's okay, because those who are given the biggest loads and the biggest burdens were given them because the universe knew that you could transmute them and that you could work through them. Also, Gemini, I am a strong believer that you can only heal someone whose situation you've really deeply dealt with and been in. So if someone's going to be like a big healer, a teacher, a preacher of a huge congregation, if you want to be a leader of any sort, Gemini, then you have to go to like the darkest depths of your poison, of the bad characteristics, the shadow of the dragon, of the deepest depths of the ocean floor, before you can actually rise above and use that energy for the higher good. But Gemini, you can only do that once you actually admit to yourself where you took part in this and where you did something dirty. Hopes, dreams, and fears is Seven of Swords in reverse. Someone here was deceptive, lying, deceitful. They like to have their cake and eat it too, but they're like denying that. They're like, well, I only did it because you did this. Tit for tat energy with that Six of Pentacles. That could have been something strong in your relationship. You're like, I've been divorced for years now. That was so long ago. Well, guess what? If you haven't fully owned up to it, Gemini, then if the universe doesn't think that you've really dealt with it deeply enough, then the universe is going to keep spiraling it around. So maybe that's why your Ten of Pentacles is in reverse, Gemini. However, as the outcome here, we have Justice in reverse and Six of Wands. So you're feeling right now like maybe you went through a piece, you had like a sliver of popularity, Gemini, and you're feeling sad because like that popularity is gone, or people are speaking, gossiping about you. You're feeling there's an injustice, like someone thinks ill about you, someone's talking smack about you, there's gossip going around in your friend group and your work group. There's something here that's an injustice in your friend group and your work group and your environment, especially with that Queen of Pentacles in reverse. It's like someone's feeling super left out in the cold here, and that's you, because your energy is the Nine of Swords and the Eight of Swords and the High Priestess in reverse and the Three of Cups in reverse. So there's like, and the Six of Pentacles in reverse. Lot of reversals here, lots of discomfort here, lots of like, it's not working, it's not working. If it's not working, Gemini, then you need to accept it, release it, and move the on, which is what we have with the Six of Swords. Once you finally move on, Gemini, once you actually decide that the water is boiling, you're a frog, and you're about to die because all of these cards are in reverse, or they're just like nightmare cards, only when you actually get honest with yourself, because I'm dealing with a really strong Gemini here who's very just strong-minded, strong-willed. Like, you don't want to change your mind on this. Like, you don't want to see the truth of the situation. But only when you move away will you get your Ten of Cups. But the Ten of Cups is there, Gemini. And I do believe it could be very strongly, possibly, someone that you already know. I don't think that it's necessarily the ex, but I do think there's someone in your group. There's someone that you've already talked to. I don't think you've had a relationship with this person. You may have had some like flirtation with them, but there's someone here that is your Ten of Cups that will be there for you, but you're focused on the wrong people. You're focused on the wrong people, the wrong things, the wrong work, because it used to work for you, and those used to be your situations. But Gemini, the universe is saying the Wheel of Fortune is here, and it's here to bring in giant change for you guys. So I love you, and I will do a mid-June checkup in 2 weeks, and we'll see what it looks like then.